there to all of my YouTube followers. Thank you for following my dreams too. I know it has been a while since I have done an actual vlog. My kids were on Christmas break and I just wasn't able to really do any vlogs. Plus, I was having a lot of problems with my anxiety and depression. I know people that don't have anxiety or depression don't fully understand it, but it's definitely a struggle, and it's a challenge that I have dealt with for many, many, many years. Yes, I do have a medicine to help with it, but I ran out of my medicine, and because of that, I got really, really down. Um, and just getting out of bed every day. That's Duke, sorry. Just getting out of bed every day was a huge challenge for me. And it's hard to explain, um, but it's definitely a challenge. And I found out that my sister-in-law has depression as well. I kind of knew that, I just didn't know the extent of it. Um, and she was kind of talking to me the other day, and she knows that I have anxiety and depression really bad, and I struggle with it on a daily basis. And just letting her know that she wasn't alone and she would have somebody to talk to was a big help for her, and it was a big help for me too, just to know that there's somebody that I can talk to that understands it. One of the biggest things about depression and anxiety is most of the time I don't even understand why I feel the way I do or understand the thoughts that are going through my head. And that's the biggest challenge with it. And unless there's somebody that deals with anxiety or depression that understands that, it's really hard to try to talk to anybody about it because they don't understand. Um, I mean, my mom is my biggest supporter, and she's always there for me. Honestly, I don't think I would even still be here if it wasn't for my mom. Um, After I finally escaped from all of the abuse, mentally and physically, that I was going through when I was a kid, from somebody that I was supposed to be able to trust and somebody that was supposed to protect me, it was really hard because I didn't want to turn to anybody. I didn't trust anybody. And I had been lied to for so many years about my mom that I didn't think my mom even wanted me. And so when I finally got away, I was living on the streets. And I got a job and I slept in the break room. Sometimes I would get my bag out of my locker and just go walk just so I wasn't there 24/7. And I would clean myself up in the bathroom before work. And my first check that I ever made was stolen. because the only house address I had was their house. And they took it. So I had nothing I could do. And one of the girls that I worked with at the time, she had found out that I was living on the streets and offered to let me crash at her house. And so I did. Um, and I stayed there for a little while, but I wasn't on her lease. So um, after a couple weeks, I had moved in with another friend, and I started talking to Kelby. And he was the first person that really saw me. Not the mask that I tried to show the world, but me. And still to this day, I blame myself for what happened to him. And I know it wasn't my fault. But I can't help but blame myself. Because if it wasn't for me, if he didn't love me, he wouldn't have been with me. And I miss him. I think I always will. But after the accident, I moved in with my sister. And I got into drinking and a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing, but I was anyways, because I couldn't deal with reality. I wind up leaving my sister's and going back to where I was living at. And I thought maybe if I went back to work, I would stop drinking so much, but yeah, that didn't happen. Um, Everywhere I turned, I was reminded of Kelby. Places we went, things we did. And I couldn't do it anymore. And I called my mom. My mom dropped everything. And she came down and got me. And moved me up here with her. I learned during that time that I was lied to about my mom. And as long as I'm upset, he's gonna whine, I'm sorry. But my mom has always been there for me. Since the moment I called her, she's been there. I've had so many times that I just wanted to give up on everything. And I call my mom, and she drops everything. She's right there. I had one time a few years ago, I got really, really bad with my anxiety and my depression, and I stopped doing my art. I stopped doing everything, really. I was barely eating. I was barely doing anything. And my mom had came over to visit me one day, and she had seen a notebook that had a bunch of stuff kind of scribbled in it, and she started reading it, and in that notebook was where I would write ideas and stuff of books, and like the main characters and the main plots of the stories and stuff like that, and I had so many of them in there. And she started asking me different questions about it, just like reading paragraphs and stuff of the stories. And she started asking me questions about it. And she told me that she couldn't find anything interesting to read and asked me if I would write out one of my stories because she wanted to know more. And I flipped through my book and like trying to figure out which one I wanted to actually write out because I had never shared my stories with anybody. And I had finally decided on Young and in Love. And I had done out a couple chapters and sent it to her, but I didn't think it was any good, so I I didn't write anymore except for just a couple chapters. And she was asking me if I was going to write any more on it, and I had told her no, I wasn't. It was just kind of answering her questions about the stuff she was asking me about, that story. And so she started asking me more questions, wanting to know more about what happened, because the first couple chapters that I had wrote was kind of just like a summary, I guess you would say. And so she kept bugging me and kept bugging me, and I got so annoyed because she was constantly asking me if I would write more, write more, write more. And I told her it was just a summary about what was going on in, that particular story. And so she kept on and kept on and kept on and kept on for a few weeks, bugging me to write more and more about the story. And so one day I finally just said screw it, and I sat down at my computer and I just started writing on the story. And one chapter turned into two, turned into three, and by the end of the week I had, 5 or 6 chapters done. And she kept bugging me, and I told her that I had wrote a few chapters, but I didn't know if I wanted to share them. And so she kept asking and kept asking and kept asking. So finally I emailed her everything that I had. And so she started going over it, and she helped with like spelling mistakes and stuff like that, because I surprisingly kind of really suck at grammar. Not as much anymore, but at the time I was really bad at grammar. And so she kind of, at first, was really scared to send it to me because, she had fixed the grammar in it and stuff. And one day out of the blue, I had asked her if she had read it, and what she had thought. And, Duke, stop it. she had told me that she had done some grammar mistakes, but she didn't want me to think that, the story was bad because she really, really, really liked it. And so I had asked her to send it to me, and I had, put in the grammar mistakes to the original file. And I was so much into the story by that point that I just kept writing and kept writing because it was all I was thinking about all the time. And it really brought me out of my depression. And so I kept writing and kept writing. And a few months later, I had the book done. And mom would take it to work with her. She would print out the chapters I would send her, and she would take it to work with her and like read over it and do the grammar checks and stuff on her lunch break. And one of her friends that she works with, Joe, um, when he would come in for lunch, he would catch sentences here and there out of it. And she said eventually he just started standing there and like he would read through it, and he started asking her, questions about the book and stuff because he was only catching just parts of it here and there. And so my mom asked me if it was okay if I let him read it. And at first I was really, really scared about it, but I finally just told her that I didn't care. So she had given him a copy of it, and he was so interested in the story that he wanted to actually meet me. And it's one thing to hear families say that something you do is really good. It's something different to hear a complete stranger that doesn't have to tell you anything good about your stuff tell you something is really good. And so hearing it from him really meant a lot to me. And I started writing on another book that I was working on, and my brother's roommate. And again, my mom got very interested in it. And Joe was constantly bugging my mom for more things that I had done. And so after the edits and the basic edits and stuff were done, she would let him read it. And he's even still to this day, he's asking for more stuff that I've done. Um, I haven't wrote any more. I have other books, like on my computer. I've got 5 other books that I'm working on. Um, but I haven't done any more here recently. For one, my kids were on Christmas break, and so I really didn't have much time to do anything really because I was chasing an 8 and 9 year old most of the time. Um, but I just got the final layout for Young and in Love yesterday from the publisher. So I went through that and improved it and sent it back to them yesterday. So I told my mom that I'm kind of taking a break from writing right now until after Young and in Love is published, um, and see how it goes and what happens with it. So in the meantime, I've kind of been playing around with crochet stuff. I don't have a whole lot of it because I mostly just give it to my mom. I've got like a bucket thing that I've started here of stuff that I've made, but I don't necessarily like it, so I just take it to my mom. This was a little interlacing heart thing I did. It's okay, but yeah, just wound up getting thrown in the bucket. I was trying to do like a cross, and yes, it looks like a cross, but I still don't necessarily like it. Um, So I never did actually finish the project with it just because, I mean, it looks kind of cool on camera and all, but I don't know. I'll see what happens with it. The actual idea of it is to have the crosses go, if I can get them to flip the right direction. It's a little easier when I have it laying on the thing, but I don't have a camera like that. And I don't like trying to reposition this one to try to move it. The idea of it is to have the crosses go, or the hearts go over the top of the crosses like that. So, I don't know. I'll see what happens to it. For right now, it's just thrown in my bucket of, I have no idea what I'm doing with it yet. This is something that I'm just playing around with. I seen this video while I was at my mom's yesterday, and it's to make coasters with like 3D hearts on them. So I'm playing around with that. I might make my mom a couple of those. And then, it's right behind my camera, so it's moving my camera. I have also been working on this. I'm not sure if I can get it completely held up to the camera. See if I can move my light out of the way. It's a blanket that I'm working on for my daughter. It's got her name on the bottom of it, and then she is a huge squirrel fan, so it's got a squirrel on it. So I've been working on that. I'm not done with it yet, almost, but not completely. My biggest challenge is trying to keep my daughter from running off with it until I do get it finished. I have this little dump bin thing that's got extra yarn in it. Stop! So I just have it sitting there. I got my camera on it because it just works. I move my light down here because it stays right here for when I'm doing my crochet stuff. But I've been working on that. I still have my mom's blanket that I haven't done. I haven't finished yet, I should say. Hey! Thank you. It's back there. The blankets definitely do take a long time to do. The other kind of side project that I have is, it was supposed to be a sock on the pattern. Thank you, Duke, for messing with my camera. It's supposed to be a sock, but I didn't realize it until after, like, I had gotten quite a lot done with it, that I was actually supposed to use, I don't know how it's done, but, like, regular... Let me get one of these new skeins back here. Regular yarn, where it's got, like, the 4 on it here. If my camera will, like, focus. But anyways, regular yarn where it's got the little 4 on it there. This is just basic yarn. And I got this for Christmas. My mom and stepdad got me just my dad. I never call him my stepdad. I always just call him my dad. They got me a huge bag of yarn for Christmas, so I've been having fun playing with it. What? But that's the kind of yarn I'm using, and for the pattern with the sock, it's actually supposed to be done with the number 1 yarn, which is very, very thin. So my sock turned into a boot. I haven't finished it yet, though. It kind of got thrown off to the side because I was working on other stuff. Stop! No, I don't want to play. Now he's acting like, you know, a 6-month-old baby. But when I get done with it, I'm making it for my dad, so when I do get done with it, I'm going to take it over there and have him try it on so I can see, like, where I can change the size of it and the stitch count and everything to make it actually fit like a sock. And then I'll make a complete set for it. For right now, it's just thrown over there because I've been doing other stuff. And I can't afford to get like the different yarns and stuff. Ow! Stop biting me. Stop biting! God, I wished I could figure out how to make him stop biting! Um, Stop. Go lay down. Sorry. Uh, but that's one project that's kind of been stuck off to the side that I will get it finished eventually. And I've been working on my daughter's blanket. The blankets kind of get put off to the side, and I'll work on them like when I want to work on something, but I either am trying to figure out how to do something or thinking about different things for my books, something that doesn't require a whole lot of focus to it. I'll pull out the blankets and I'll work on those because they're really easy to do. They're just very, very time consuming. So I definitely see why the price of them is so high, just simply because they are extremely time consuming. Not to mention the amount of yarn that they use. Um, so I'm still doing that. My mom's is going to be doubled. I don't know if I can actually get to it because, I need to clean my desk. Again, I swear my desk gets so piled up. My kids do a lot of it. And some of it is just because I kind of just push things off to the side. This is one of the squares that I'm working on for my mom's blanket. This is going to be one of the big squares eventually when I get done with it. And I started doing the Tunisian corner to corner. And because I'm using a 5x5 square on the Tunisian, it's actually working up really big. My mom's already seen this part of the blanket, so I'm not really worried about it. I showed it to her for Christmas, but I told her she can't keep it because I'm not done with it by any means. But this is one side of it. The bad thing with the Tunisian stitch like this is it rolls up really bad. And so I haven't sewn it on there yet because I'm still deciding if I want to do that. So I just have these little binder clips kind of holding it on there. But the part of this side, which is a front stitch, back stitch, granny square, Creative Grandma on YouTube is one of the biggest ones that I watch for all of my crocheting stuff. I've been watching all of her videos just because she does really good stuff, very easy to follow, easy to understand. So I love doing her stuff, and I also have a pin on her website because I go to that and I'll look at like the different stitches and stuff and I try them all the time. But this is one side. This one is going to have 9 of these big squares to it and 40 of these little squares. When I did out the pattern of it, I didn't realize it was going to be that big, but I liked the pattern, so I wound up staying with it. And then I got the squares done, and so I'm like, this is going to be really, really big. It's definitely going to be a blanket. And this is a corner part of it. The next square that I'm working on here, it'll line up at the bottom here. Obviously, it's way too small because I'm not done with it because, you see the difference in the size. But it'll line up at the very bottom like this, and then it'll have a row of the small squares, and then it'll have another corner, and then the outside ones, the square will line up against the outside. The middle square of the 9 is bordered with the small squares, and then the 4 corners have the smaller squares going around it like this. I haven't told my mom what the full pattern for this is going to be, and so I still want to leave that one as a surprise, so I'm not telling her. The squares, I send her pictures of those all the time, so that one's not really a thing. She kind of just said rainbow coloring. So I get to pick whatever colors I want, and if I do run out of that color, it's really nice that I can just do kind of whatever I want with it. Um, because if I do run out of the color that I was using, I can just add another color into the mix for that one. Now, this one is different. Um, I actually ran out of the sky blue and I can't find this exact color that I had. So I wind up going with a pretty close color blue to it. Even on the camera, you can't see the difference in the colors. Um, Even me looking at it, like, I can barely see the difference in them. Um, but I've been doing yarn and stuff like that for 20, like 22, 23 years. Long time. I just made myself feel really old. I've been doing the yarn and stuff since I was 6, 7 years old. So I've been doing it for a pretty long time. So I can definitely tell the difference in the colors. But nobody else that's looked at it can tell. So um, I kind of just leave it the way it is. Uh, but that's the other project that I've been working on. And then with my daughters, I let her pick the colors to it. So I kind of just do the random colors around the border and stuff like that. The original idea was for hers was just the squirrel, but doing the corner to corner, again, it worked up a little bigger than I thought it would. But she liked it, and the original thing for it was she wanted a blanket for her baby doll. She's got one of those big baby dolls, and she wanted a blanket for that. And so when I got done with the squirrel part of her blanket, she liked it so much that she wanted the blanket for her. So she asked me if I could make it for her. And so I figured it up and I put her name on the bottom of it, and then I just started doing the bordering and stuff just to bring it out wider. So she really likes it. She keeps trying to take off with it all the time, but I'm like, no, I'm not done with it yet. Um, but I know the first part of this video started out very sad. Sorry. But that's kind of what I've been working on here. And as far as my books go, um, they are working on getting the cover, the front and back cover of the book done. Once that's done, which shouldn't take that long, they're going to send it to me to get the final approval. And then once it's approved, it's going to be sent, it'll be published. The only thing that I am kind of wondering about is on the email for approving the inside of the book. I've seen the retail price that they have on the book, and I think it's a little high. For one, I underprice all of my stuff because I don't think it's that great. But um, I kind of leave that up to them, and I'm gonna just let them do their thing with it. That's the only thing that's worrying me is the retail price, but I don't know if I'm just reading it wrong or what. So all I can really do is just wait until it does come out and see what happens with it. And depending on what happens with Young and in Love, to whether or not I will send in my brother's roommate to work on getting that published. I still have to finish paying off the contract for Young and in Love. I've got it down to just over 2,000, I think, is what's left on it. Um, it is expensive to do the publishing if depending on who you go with. So I do think they are worth the price that I'm paying for it, but the struggle is definitely there because I don't have a sponsor or anything like that. Joe was helping out at the beginning with sponsoring and stuff, but he had some family problems come up, and so he just couldn't afford to do it anymore. And so, but I was fine with that. He helped out a lot starting with, so now it's just trying to finish paying on it. I'm hoping once it publishes that I'll be able to start getting some cells, I guess I should say, and be able to use that to help paying on the contract. And if Young and in Love does really good, and once I have the contract paid off, I will send my brother's roommate in for that one and get that one started. But we'll see what happens. I know today I probably should be up doing some cleaning, but I really don't feel like it. I have to go in and clean my kids' room because, yeah, they're just not going to wind up doing it. Um, Honestly, I'm kind of thinking about waiting until they get home from school and making them help. A lot of it, most of their room is just from their Christmas stuff. They're 8 and 9, so when they took their stuff out of the boxes just got thrown around the room instead of actually thrown away. Um, so I pretty much just have to get all the empty boxes out of there and make sure they don't have any toys or anything in the empty boxes. And I finally got my washer fixed. The last cold front that we had come through, we didn't get any snow, thank God. But we did get ice, and it was freezing for a couple of nights. And so I had a couple pipes bust on me, and so that definitely wasn't fun. Well, two spots, they didn't bust. It's just from where the line goes from right after my bathroom, the pipe goes down and then out to the washroom. Um, because the washer and dryer is actually out in my building because we don't want it in the house. And I don't have any like faucet or anything to keep the water dripping in that part of the line, so it froze, and the pipe came out at the seams or on the joints for two parts of it. So that was easy to fix, and then I had one where it busted the thing. So I was like, ugh. So I had to get that part replaced. Thankfully, it wasn't that hard. It was mostly just crawling underneath the house, and I was not doing that while it was cold outside. I wasn't crawling under the house when it was cold. Mostly because the ground, especially if it's been raining like it had been, the ground stays really wet for a long period of time under the house. So, yeah, no. Um, I finally got that fixed. Well, one of the fittings that is on the washer, we don't use hot water on the washer. Um, if I have anything that needs hot water on the washer, I either take it to my mom's or my mother in law will take it and wash it for me. Usually she takes it and washes it for me just so I don't have to do it. But it's not very often that I need anything like that. So I have a Y fitting thing on the pipe so that I can just have the hot and cold into one. Um, and that fitting started leaking. I still don't understand how, but it did. And so I had to get that part replaced. Finally got that done. And then trying to get all the clothes caught up. I really, really hate putting up clothes. That is like the biggest house cleaning thing that I hate doing. The older I get, I don't necessarily like doing the dishes either, just because it hurts my back. But I finally got them caught up from the water being shut off for a couple days. At least that part of the house, the water was shut off. The kids' bathroom still had water to it. I have a shut off valve right before the kitchen, and so I turned that off to turn off the water for where the pipe was busted, and the kids' bathrooms still had water, so we were four people using one bathroom, and it reminded us why we have two bathrooms. Um, but I finally got my dishes caught back up from that. Now I just got to get in there and do my dishes from where I cooked last night. I just felt like it. Beef tips and rice sounded really good, and then my husband had some peppers sitting on the cabinet, so I asked him, I said, "What are you doing with these?" I was like, I was gonna see if you'd freeze them for me. I'm like, "Ah, man." So he asked me what I was gonna do with them, and I told him that I kind of wanted stuffed peppers. So he's like, "Yeah, that sounds good." So um, I made beef tips and rice and stuffed peppers for dinner last night. So now I've got to get in there and clean up the dishes from it. And the kids were with my mother-in-law, so she fed them before she brought them home. That's one thing I really do love about the kids going with her. Um, is she never brings them home hungry. She always feeds them before she brings them home. So I really love that. Uh, I never have to worry about like making sure they have something to eat when they get home and things like that. So that was cool. And I've got to get in there and clean my kids' bathroom because they decided, oh, they can't go outside and play in the water, so they're going to put on swimsuits and go play in the bathtub, so now the floor is wet. I think I'm just going to pull the rugs out of there and take them outside and just hang them up to dry. Uh, I've got thick water absorbent rugs on the carpet in their bathroom, and I'll probably just take them outside and let them dry. While I have them out there, I might just wash them. Um, that was one reason why I haven't like have them permanently put down. It's just that way because it is in the bathroom with the kids, so that way I can take them outside and wash them and let them dry and then bring them back in. Try to save the new floor that I just put in there, but uh, I'm rambling now. I'll probably end my video here. I just kind of wanted to update everybody on what's been going on and do another vlog, and I'm going to try to get back into doing my vlogs and stuff. The most updates that I really have right now is just little weird projects that I'm doing and things like that. But don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. You can also go check out my Instagram. I post a lot of pictures of the stuff that I do and things like that on my Instagram. It's Following My Dreams too. You can also go over there and message me from my Instagram if you would like. Now I get the hiccups. Have a great day, everybody. Leave a comment down below. Let me know how you're doing today. I would love to hear from y'all. If there's anything that you would like to know about me or my books, all you have to do is leave a comment and let me know, and I will answer y'all's questions.